Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with just another Dredge deck. This one's by Random Jeweler. This person plays a lot of MTGO. I see this name a ton on MTGO with top finishes. We have another Dredge deck, Vengevine deck with Prized Amalgam. This one using Burning Inquiry and Goblin Lore as the primary ways, and Faithless Looting as the primary ways to get stuff in the graveyard, and then going all out on a Dredge package. So 4 Golgari Grave-Trolls, 4 Stinkweed Imps, and 1 Golgari Thug. Also an Insolent Neonaut. So, I mean, this is completely all out drawing and discarding cards. They don't even care about the randomness of this, but you can get so many triggers off of the Dredge. That's probably why they're running Goblin Lore and Burning Inquiry. So I just thought I would try my own version. I'm like, well, okay, so we're running Burning Inquiry. It's one of my favorite cards ever printed. I have like a closet full of these cards because I really thought that Waste Not would make this common actually spike up to be like a buck, because I thought the casual players would just eat this card alive. It also goes in a popular commander deck, which is the draw card commander. There's any draw or discard commander wants this type of card, but it's still about 30 cents a piece. I still love this card. I think the M10, wasn't that the first set the Titans were released? So M10 was actually opened in like record numbers, I believe. I think is one of the M sets that was actually a huge hit. But anywho, here is my Waste Not Dredge deck. It's probably going to fail miserably, but I thought I'd try it out. So we're going to stick with much of the shell. I'm going to run 4 Golgari Grave-Trolls. We only want to see 1 Dredge card in the graveyard, and it should be quite easy through Faithless Lootings, Burning Inquiries, Dark Deals, and Reforge the Soul. So we also have a 2 of Noxious Revival and a 4 of Waste Not. So this is a Waste Not Dredge deck. Ideally, you want a Simian Spirit Guide Swamp first turn, put out a Waste Not, and then second turn Burning Inquiry would be the best way to do it, and then you'd get some value out of Waste Not, and hopefully you can just chain off from then. We have a couple of Noxious Revivals to put stuff back on top of our library. A 3 of Gravecrawler, because you only need to see 2 of these in your graveyard, and you probably will. And it's actually pretty good with the Waste Not, because it puts zombie tokens into play that you can actually then cast back the Gravecrawler. Just a 2 of Narcomoeba, because we think that just 2 of will trigger off all the Prized Amalgams. And then the Vengevine will be able to trigger off casting double Gravecrawler. You can do it probably in the same turn that the Waste Not is going crazy, because you'll add the 2 black. So again, I'm not sure that this deck will actually function. I just thought it's just a cool little take on another little Dredge version. And this card is always going to be an obsession of mine. See, the community, this was designed by the Magic community. You actually voted. And I took actually place in voting on this. I think that everyone voted against what I wanted. What did I want? I know it was black was the color that I wanted, because black is my favorite color. But I remember when this was going through the process, it was almost like everything but the artwork I voted against. But anyway, the community designed a sweet card, Waste Not. I'm always looking to build a deck around this card in Modern. It will always be a just one of these Kevin cards is what I like to call them. Just a lot of synergies. So anyway, I think the Simian Spirit Guide is pretty necessary for this deck. A lot of you might call me a hypocrite because I hate this card. Let me repeat that again. I hate Simian Spirit Guide. I think it's terrible for the Modern format because it leads to some very degenerate things that otherwise would not work. And it turns a deck into like a high variance deck rather than a consistent deck. And so usually decks that do play the Simian Spirit Guide are going to either use it in some combo like Ad Nauseam, or they're going to use it to try to do like turn 1 or turn 2 shenanigans. So, well, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm going to use it as long as it works in this deck. And maybe we'll show some gameplays later on. I have to run to open up the store. But I just thought I'd show you this. If you haven't picked up your Prized Amalgams and your Golgari Grave-Trolls and your even Vengevines, I think that the window is slowly closing for these before they're going to be crazy prices. We can just go over here and just look at, let's go back to the metagame for Modern. And it's almost been a Dredgevine. So Dredgevine here, And, oh, I haven't seen one for a while again. That was the first one in a bit. But it's almost every day that we see like a Dredge Vine, like 5-0. There's another Dredge Vine. And maybe it's like every other day we see a Dredge Vine. Another little interesting thing, just want to brag one last time. Now this is another devastating summons deck. Just 5-0'd. And this one is going to be in a Goblins. So Devastating Summon fits in Zoo, Goblins, and like a Kudatha Red strategy. And I really, really think that if you haven't picked these up, again, that the window is slowly up to 50 cents now. Yeah, spiking pretty good here. All those that I got a comment especially, basically a little undertone of the comment. What I was reading into it was I was specking on this card for nefarious reasons. Let me just address that really quickly. I know people personally, and even from personal experience, that you cannot affect the price of a card singular. Like you as a sole person would have to invest thousands upon thousands of dollars into the same card before it even makes a bump in the market. We saw a guy do that with Seance. Seance, he was paying people to destroy them. He was paying pros to play the deck on their streams. He was paying pros to play it at the Pro Tour. He was buying up thousands upon thousands of copies himself, and lo and behold, I think he affected the price of Seance by a whopping, like, 50 cents maybe. So it's, yeah, I think so. Bulker is around 30 cents. So, I mean, this is where he was doing it, right here. Just started buying him out like crazy. And this is thousands upon thousands upon thousands of copies of this card that were purchased, and look what it did. Well, nothing. There, you cannot manipulate a market without real demand. And Devastating Summons, we've now seen it in 3 different archetypes, aggro archetypes in Modern, and it's completely has the demand there. You think that every little 5-0 deck, you got to think that one person at every local game store is going to build that deck. And especially since it's a very aggressive deck. I would say the aggro and controller are 2 type of decks that people play like crazy, even if they're not viable. So you'll see like a red deck wins in every standard format, even when it's not that good. We have people trying to mess around with it. Oh, I'm building a red deck wins, by the way. If you might recall the Gathering Magic deck, called 37 1-drops. It's actually their most popular Rogue Deck Builder video on their channel. I'm going to revive that with this deck. We have so many 1-drops that I think that were spoiled. People are using mono white right now as kind of the aggro. I think that red actually has some legitimacy with Goblin Bushwhacker, and then even splashing for the Tarka's command. So be looking forward to that. So I'm just saying aggro, there is a whole type of player that loves to play aggro, and they are just salivating now that they have another tool in that deck. For all the people saying this is a garbage card, you obviously do not understand how Devastating Summons works. People are like, well, it can get remanded, or it can get counterspelled in another way. They can kill your stuff in response. Alright, you don't do that with Devastating Summons, and that's why it's like a 1 over a 2 of in a deck. Some of you even run 3 of. It's when your opponent taps out. Your opponent has to spend mana when you're the aggro deck. They just can't sit back. You're going to be casting a first turn Legion Loyalist or Goblin Guide, or even like a Kudatha Rebirth very, very quickly. Your opponent has to react. It's when your opponent is tapped out, you have a Bushwhacker in hand, you have 3 lands or 4 lands in hand, you just do the math, sack all your creatures, or sack all your lands, make 2 4/4s, your opponent can't block, you give them haste with your Bushwhacker, maybe cast another card, and then you're swinging in for like 14 damage. Your opponent's already taken some damage with the aggro deck. That's where it's key with this card. You don't just go brain dead with the deck and say, oh, I'm going to cast a Devastating Summons without a way to give them haste, or without a way to swing it for lethal. Come on, think before you put these comments on the page. This card was a beautiful card in the Zendikar Standard. It was played like crazy in Kudatha Red at that time. People even used it in a green or a white-red. It was basically a landfall-based deck with you had the fetch lands, you had the plated Geopede, and the other 1-drop, the Step Links. And they played Devastating Summons for that exact reason, because it was a great card to have a nice synergy with a Goblin Bushwhacker. Alright, so that's why it's in there, and this is not me. I did not manipulate this. I am a minnow in the marketplace. In fact, a lot of the market specialists basically they don't even consider me at all an influence in the marketplace. So we're talking about a lot of people at MTG Price or a lot of the podcasts that do financial, like what is it called? The Brainstorm Brewery. Yeah, all those big time market guys. Yeah, I'm nothing to even them. So for all the people accusing me of trying to price manipulate and whatnot, I was just trying to help you guys get ahead of a spike, and lo and behold, it did spike. One of the cards that I bought out the most of, I bought over 300 Stony Silences. The card did not go up for about a year. I've bought over 400 copies of Tidebunner Mage, still hasn't gone up. It takes a lot of demand and people actually buying into the card for any sort of price increase. And one last time, this was not me. So please take your accusations elsewhere. I do care about our community. I like the like-minded people that we find at Rogue Deck Builder. One of the things that I personally do is a lot of speculation in finance. People have made fun of me saying that the speculation is a losing battle. Okay, well, would you rather, like, I use it for my collection. I don't use it to make money or pay rent, or what was the dude that bought his entire house with fetch lands, I believe. You know, those stories like that. That's not me. I'm a small-scale person. Why I speculate is it's better than buying packs. It's better than buying singular cards. Like, if you, like, when I traded into Hellrider at the Innistrad time, right before Innistrad rotated, or the Scars of Mirrodin rotated, and I didn't do that to make tons of money. I did that to prepare myself so I could get all the new Shocklands from Ravnica by trading Hellriders. So I basically bought in Hellriders at 50 cents a piece, and were able to trade them for 2 of them for a Shockland right when Return to Ravnica came out, effectively paying $1 for a Shockland. That's exactly how I use speculation in today's day. So you buy into these devastating summons. Up now, what do I need? I need a Phyrexian Obliterator? Cool, I'll trade a bunch of devastating summons for a Phyrexian Obliterator. And I bought this at 10% of its value. I basically got a 90% discount on the Phyrexian Obliterator that I needed for a deck. That's why I do it. I think that everyone that is interested in really maintaining a healthy Magic the Gathering collection should be a savvy trader, should be a savvy marketplace person or speculator. Not to buy a house, not to make huge profits, just to get the best bang for their buck in their collection. And I just grow tired of, like, the accusations and whatnot, or the people saying that it's just such a losing battle, how so stupid it is, because then you have to deal with eBay fees and TCG player fees. I rarely sell on TCG player or eBay, because just for that reason, how the fees just continue to kill you. The 12% fees you're going to be paying on eBay, the 13-14% fees a lot of times you play on TCG player for these low-end cards because of that 50 cent deduction they take out per sale. I agree. It's not, the cards have to go up phenomenally in value before you even break even. Where it does shine is through trades, through managing your collection, through getting the best bang for your buck. That is where you should be targeting these sort of cards. Anyway, that's enough ramble. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll try to play some of these Waste Not Dredge. I think the sky is the limit. Prized Amalgam was such a beautiful card to add into the card pool for Modern. Just it made Dredge viable. I'm sure there's some other decks that are going to see play just because of Prized Amalgam. I know a few people have been trying it out in Standard. I have a buddy of mine that's trying a control route that just tries to control the field until he gets enough Prized Amalgam. Using the new Factor Fiction. That card's pretty good. I'm trying to think what it is. It's X and blue. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You put them in 2 piles, and then your opponent chooses one to put in your hand. I think that card is phenomenally good. In Standard right now, it's just a matter of time before someone uses it as a graveyard, like to fuel their graveyard and fuel their hand with enough cards. So he's using Prized Amalgam as just his finisher as they all come back in the graveyard. There's a lot of dying hate right now through Exile, but there's not a lot of ways to interact with graveyards at the moment. And so I think that Prized Amalgam does fit a nice little role with that, in that type of archetype. All right, we're almost up to 15 minutes of me rambling. This is Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.